Okay, punta naman tayo sa protein hydrolysis. Okay? Pag sinabing protein hydrolysis, this is the reverse reaction, kabaligtaran ng formation of peptide. Remember, in order for peptide to be formed, it needs many amino acids to be binded together through a peptide linkage. So, amino acid plus another amino acid, you have the dipeptide plus another amino acid, you have the tripeptide, and so on. Pagdating sa hydrolysis, magbe-break yung mga peptide linkages na yan. Okay? So, magbe-break yan, giving you an individual amino acid. So, yun yung purpose ng hydrolysis. And of course, when you say hydrolysis, kailangan ng water. Okay? Hydro, using water. Lysis is breaking. Of course, hindi lang basta-basta maglalagay ng tubig. Rather, it should have strong bases and strong acids. And kailangang heated din daw. So, may heat yan. Okay? So, once a peptide or a protein has been hydrolyzed, babalik na yung amine group and carboxylic functional group dun sa amino acid. So, for an individual amino acid, mariregain na niya yung kanyang mga functional groups. Kasi dito, nung protein siya, nag-combine yung carboxyl and the carboxyl group and the amino group para mag-give way dun sa ating peptide bond. Okay? So, ulitin natin, hydrolysis. Okay, originally, may peptide tayo dito. Alanine, glycine, and cysteine. With the presence of water, acidic condition, and heat, ayan, nagkaroon tayo ng individual amino acids. Ang mechanism is, of course, we uses the water molecule, H2O. Hydrogen will go to the amino group, and then the hydroxyl group from the water will go to the carbonyl group so that it will form the carboxyl part. Okay? So, mariregain na nila yung kanilang original functional groups, producing, of course, individual amino acids. So, kung meron tayong tripeptide dito, of course, magkakaroon din tayo ng 3 amino acids after the hydrolysis. Another process is protein denaturation. This could either be partial or complete. This is a disorganization of proteins' characteristics or shape. It's disrupt the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure. So, remember, a protein must have folding, meron yung coiling. Okay, kapag na-denaturize siya, the folding and coiling in its structure, of course, will be unraveled. So, matatanggal kapag nagkaroon ng denaturation, matatanggal na rin yung characteristics or properties niya kasi nga na-denaturize na siya. Now, once protein denaturation occurs, there is actually the loss of biochemical activity of protein. Kapag hindi na siya makakapag-function once na denaturize na siya. Pero meron din tayong tinatawag na renaturation. Pero this is only limited. Hindi siya fully reversing or restoration process. Okay, so yung denaturation is reverse, bumabalik siya dun sa totoong structure niya, pero very limited. This could only occur for limited denaturation. Meron din tayong tinatawag na coagulation. This is precipitation out. Nagsosolidify. Pag sinabing precipitation, nagsosolidify yung biochemical solution na nasa denatured protein. So, katulad ng egg white. Okay, so yung egg white, of course, that's a protein. Once it's denaturized by the heat, application of heat, say for example, heat, pwede rin naman, magpe-precipitate yun, namumuti, mag-solidify. Okay? So, when this denaturation, when the protein containing foods is cooked, so the protein denaturation occurs. Okay? So, with that, the food is easily digested because the enzyme could easily work on the denatured protein. Pag sinabing denatured, unraveled protein. Kasi nga, di ba, isang characteristics ng protein ay may coiling, may folding, pero pag na-unravel na yan, of course, na-denaturize na siya. So with that, cooking foods would kill the microorganism, and of course, it denaturize the parasite protein. Heat is also used in surgery. Okay, kapag sinisil nila yung small blood vessels, this is known as the cauterization. So, small wounds can be sealed by cauterization, and of course, heat is also applied when sterilizing surgical instrument, and from that, the bacteria are destroyed and protein has been denaturized. Kapag fever naman, 41 degrees Celsius, this is very dangerous kasi nga the enzyme in the body became inactivated, and we all know that the body's enzyme is actually, or most of them are protein. Ano ba ang nagko-cause ng denaturation sa isang protein? Of course, yung sinabi natin kanina, heat, cooking, cauterization, sterilization. So yan. So also we have microwave radiation, ultraviolet radiation, weeping or shaking, violent weeping or shaking, pwede rin daw, madidenaturize din niya. Katulad sa itlog, pag binate. Okay? So that will denaturize the egg whites. Detergent, pag lalagyan ng detergent, madidenaturize. Pag gumamit ka, nilagyan mo ng organic solvents like alcohol and acetone, strong acids and strong bases, the use of salts of heavy metals like those salts with mercury, silver, and lead. And of course, the use of reducing agents. So these, kapag dinagdag mo ito sa mga proteins, ma-unravel yung kanilang structure at madidenaturize sila. Okay. May I just point out another one? Parang hindi ko na-discuss kanina ito. Protein denaturation does not affect the primary structure. Only the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Bakit? Primary structure, remember, is just the sequencing or ordering of the amino acids in the protein. Okay? Then for the classification of proteins, based on the shape, we have fibrous, globular, and membrane. Okay, when we say fibrous, of course, they are elongated shape. They tend to have simple and regular and linear structure, while for globular, they are folded into spherical globular shapes. Of course, membrane, they are found in the membrane system of the cell. Let's have comparison between fibrous and globular. Hindi na natin isama si membrane. Okay? So, for fibrous, they are insoluble. Hindi sila nadi-dissolve sa water. While globular proteins, they could be dissolved in water. For fibrous, they have a single type of secondary structure, while for globular, they have several types of secondary structure. Diba yung secondary structure, it could either be the alpha helix or the beta-pleated sheet. For fibrous, they have structural functions. They could act as a support or external protection, while for globular, nagpa-function siya for metabolic processes like catalysis, transport, and regulation. And of course, fibrous are abundant in the body, and globular are also present in different kinds. Okay, so let's have examples of fibrous. We have keratin. They are found in wool, feather, hooves, silk, fingernails, hair, and scales. Yan. Collagen naman nasa tendons, bones, and other connective tissues. Elastins, blood vessels, and ligaments. Myosin, nasa muscles yan. And fibrin naman nasa blood clots. While for, so makikita talaga na ang kanilang function ay structural. Okay? And for globular naman, sabi natin, regulation and catalysis ang globular. So we have insulin, so regulate hormone for glucose metabolism. Myoglobin, oxygen storage in the muscle. Hemoglobin, oxygen transport in the blood. Transferrin, iron transport in the blood. And immunoglobulins, of course, for the immune system responses. Okay, so magkaiba ang functions talaga ng fibrous and globular. Nevertheless, they are still proteins. Okay, another classification of proteins based on the functions. We have catalytic. Okay, so catalytic proteins, this includes the enzymes, so which plays the role of biochemical catalysts. So all enzymes or most of the enzymes are involved in the metabolic reactions in the cell. We also have defense proteins. This includes immunoglobulins and antibodies. When we say antibodies, these are proteins that binds foreign substances such as bacteria and viruses to help combat, okay, typho, invasion of these antigen or the foreign particles. We also have transport proteins. Nagtitransport sila ng small biomolecules. Then we have hemoglobin, which is known to transport proteins. Which is known as a transport protein which carries oxygen to from the lungs to the organs. Another transport protein is transferrin. Pag transferrin naman, ang kanyang kinikarry ay iron. Low density LDL, alam natin, it carries cholesterol to the body. And while high density is collect excess cholesterol, transport it for excretion or for degradation. Then we also have very low density lipoprotein. So this transport naman, not cholesterol, however, it transport triacylglycerol that is synthesized in the liver to the adipose tissues. Then we have chylomicrons. They transport still triacylglycerol from the intestines to the liver to the adipose tissue. Another function is as a messenger protein. So they transmit signals to coordinate biochemical processes. So this includes insulin, glucagon, and human growth hormone. Contractile proteins, they are necessary for the movement. Okay, movement. So example of this, of course, we have our muscles, we have actin and myosin. Then we have structural proteins. This is for to confer stiffness and rigidity. So these this includes collagen. So component yan ng cartilage. We have the alpha keratin na nasa ating hair, fingers, and also present in animal feathers and hooves. Then we also have transmembrane proteins. These control the movement of small molecules and ions. Okay, so we have storage proteins. These proteins binds and store small molecules for future use. So we have here ferritin. It stores iron. Myoglobin, an oxygen storage protein also. Regulatory proteins. These are found embedded in the exterior surface of the cell membranes. So, nire-regulate nila. They could serve, they are often molecules that binds with enzyme, turning them on and off. So, meron silang nire-regulate. We also have nutrient proteins. So, these proteins are particularly important in the early stages of life, from embryo to infant. So, we have casein in the milk and ovalbumin in the egg whites. So, nutrient proteins, yung mga yan. And then we have buffer proteins. When we say buffer proteins, they resist change in pH so as to have a balance in acid base in the body. So we have protein hemoglobin. So meron siyang buffering role. And then we have transmembrane. Nire-regulate niya yung ions that will come in and goes out of the cell. Okay. Then the last would be fluid balance proteins in the form of albumin and globulin. So they are found in the capillary beds of the circulatory system. Okay? So marami tayong proteins based on their functions.